Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome back to the Sri Harinam Chintamani, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu series, which is on Raganuga Bhakti. Up till now, we have been discussing the practice of Raganuga sadhana. And we have discussed 2 verses. There is another verse, 3 verses. Just in 3 verses, Rupa Goswami enumerates the practice of a Raganuga sadhaka. Of course, it is quite brief and concise. There are other works where a lot detail has been discussed. But here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he sticks to this. And that itself is also quite exhaustive, you can say. Again, it is given in a little, you can say, in a concise way, in a sutra form. A lot of elaboration is required, but time does not permit us for here to do that. So we're just seeing these verses as Rupa Goswami is narrating. So now, having discussed in the practice of Raganuga Bhakti, what is the practice of remembrance? So we can see that one of the adhikar for practicing Raganuga Bhakti is he should be able to constantly remember Krishna, and this is only possible after the stage of Anarth Nivritti. And then the next was Sevaka Sadhaka Rupena, how in his Sadhaka Sharir and in this spiritual body that is to be developed, which the spiritual master gives him to him, how he cultivates internal meditation. So that internal meditation is also a very elaborate topic, how the internal meditation goes through these 5 dashas. Shravana dasha, apana dasha, smaran dasha, varan dasha, and sampati dasha. No, Shravan dasha, varan dasha, then smaran dasha, and apana dasha. Apana dasha is when we get the spiritual body, when the spiritual body is revealed at the stage of bhava, and then there is sampati dasha. So this internal meditation is very, very deep, very cultivates in his, So this is what we discussed in the last class, and we gave one example. Now the next limb or the next practice, the third verse which discusses is 1 to 26, 296. So let us take up this. Kirtanadini Vaidi Bhakti Udanito Yani Angani Chatani Atra Vigyanani Manishibi. The discriminating practitioners, Vigyanani Manishibi. Manishi means are those who can discriminate. Manisha. Manisha has many meanings in Sanskrit. Isha means controller. Man means the mind. So one who has controlled the mind with the discriminating intelligence, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So he's also a Manish. Should accept the Angas. Sorry. Tani tu Angani, which are mentioned in Vaidhi Bhakti. Yani Vaidhi Bhakti Uditani, such as hearing and chanting. Shravana Utkirtana Adini, as the Angas of Raganuga Bhakti. So many so-called imitators who think that I'll just remember Krishna and develop that bhava. So bhava is not a cheap thing that you can develop. Firstly, you need purity of the heart, which happens only after anarth nivritti. You have to be at the stage of nishta, and then there is sevak sadhaka rupena. You have to develop that low of greed. And in fact, when one is a practitioner, Raganuga sadhaka, he is more absorbed in Shravan and Kirtan because he is now more greedy to develop that lobe, to attain that mood of the Vrajvasis who have spontaneous rag towards Krishna. So it is a misconception that Raganuga Bhakti Bhaktas, they don't just follow any rules and regulations. In fact, they follow all the limbs what is mentioned by Rupa Goswami for Vaidhi Sadhakas. Let us see what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has to say. Along with hearing and chanting, items such as surrendering to the lotus feet of the Guru should be understood as favorable. So the first limb in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti was Ado Guru Padashe. Ado means first thing, Guru Padashe, to begin your devotion. And here, in fact, the Raganuga Sadhaka has to follow the Rasika Acharya, the spiritual master, who can explain him this science of Raganuga Bhakti. And he himself has developed that, the taste also. So he needs more the guidance from the spiritual master. Just like I would give an example of, suppose you have some cut or a wound, you will go to an MBBS doctor and you'll get it, he'll do the first aid medical and, it will be taken care. But when you have some internal wound, say in the heart, there is a block or there is something, then you will have to go to a specialist who can do that special surgery and remove this. So similarly, you need special guidance from the spiritual master on the path of Raganuga sadhana. Without those favorable items, how one can accomplish following after the eternal inhabitants of Raj? So this is the question Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is asking. After considering with intelligence, one should select activities conducive to one's own sentiments for Krishna and not those activities which are contrary to one's sentiments. So this is again, like if he's developing, say, the mood of Madhuri Ras, then whatever is conducive for developing that, he will follow it with his intelligence. And whatever is not conducive, he will not follow that. So I don't want to go in detail of this because again, it requires a lot of elaborate explanation, which is not necessary here, I feel. So Vishwanath Chakra Thakur goes quite in detail in his other works about, what is neutral to his bhava, what is favorable to his bhava, he'll cultivate. What is unfavorable towards developing that sentiment, he will not cultivate it. So like that, he goes and describes quite in detail. But this point here is very, very clear of Vishwanath Chakravarti. Though prescribed in the scriptures, activities of deity worship such as worshipping Rukmini, meditation of Dwarka, performing mudras and nyasyas, or identifying oneself with the Lord and worshipping oneself should be rejected. Though it is prescribed in the scriptures, all these are rejected. Now, why worshipping Rukmini is rejected? What is the reason? Anyone? Puja Mataji, why worship of Rukmini? Rukmini Upasana, many do in Dwarka, if you see, or many all over India also, maybe. So why it is rejected? Puja Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes. Why it is rejected?
Prabhuji. I don't know, Prabhuji.
Fine. Santana Lakshmi Mataji? Why it is rejected? I think they've just kept their video on, the Zoom on, and they're present to know. We don't know. Surikund Prabhuji, why it is rejected? Worship of Rukmini. Try. Just can guess.
Performing mudras.
Don't worry about mudras and nyasas. Don't worry. Why worship of Rukmini is rejected? In Maharashtra, there's a famous temple. Which is a famous temple in Maharashtra?
Maharashtra is Pandharpur Vittal.
Rukmini Vittal is there, na?
Rukmini. Yeah.
But why here it is mentioned, Vishwanath Chakravarti saying, why worship of Rukmini is rejected? It doesn't mean that you don't go to Rukmini Pandharpur when I reject, I'll not go. No, that should not be your mood. Huh? But Raganuga Madhaka, why rejects? What is the reason? Okay, okay, let us see. Puja Mataji. Yes. What is the reason, Mataji? No response.
Hare
Okay,
Krishna Prabhuji. Because Rukmani is also an incarnation of Radharani. I mean, it's a part and participle of, you can say, Radharani. Because of that,
have you been?
In Hindi, I can say Unika Ansha. That's why or like that.
No. Have you been attending the previous classes?
Prabhuji, I didn't attended. I attended last 2 weeks, but before that, I didn't attend, Prabhuji.
Okay.
My family all were having COVID, so I was busy with my family, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes, Vaishali Mataji, what is the reason?
Is it, Prabhu, because we are talking here about Raganuga and Ragatmika Bhakti?
Yes.
Because
we are speaking about Ragatmika Bhaktas, and Ragatmika Bhakti is found where? Only in Vraja. And only by practicing Raganuga Bhakti we can attain Vraja Krishna. If you practice Vaidhi Bhakti with rules and regulations, worshipping Rukmini Krishna, you will not ever come to Golok Vrindavan. You will attain Dwarka. Got the point? Is it clear? I hope it is clear, right? Okay. Should be rejected. The scriptures also say that on the path of bhakti, There is no fault in omitting some of the procedures such as meditation on Rukmini. So it's not like we should understand this statement carefully. Huh? As I was mentioning, tomorrow if you go to Vittal Rukmini temple, hey, no, I'm a practitioner of sadhana bhakti only, but I'll not go there. No, even when we go there, we see Braj Krishna only. We see them in that mood. We still have not. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that even if I go to a South India temple, I see the form of Vishnu lying, that is Anant Shesh. But still I will remember my dear Lord Krishna, Syam Sundar Krishna. I will see him like that. So that is the mood we should have. So here is mentioned, scriptures say that, if it is to be rejected, are you going against the scriptures? No, the scriptures also say that on the path of bhakti, there is no fault in omitting some of the procedures, such as meditation on Rukmini. Now, he gives two proofs. Yanasthaya naro rajan na pramadet karhichit dhavan nimilyava netre naskalin na patet iha. O king, Rajan, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yan Asthaya Nara, will never blunder on his path, na pramadet karhichit, in this world, iha, even while running with eyes closed. Dhavan nimilyava netre, he will never trip or fall. Na skalen, na patet iha. Now, how many devotees have come across this verse before? Raise your hands. Anytime you have heard this verse or you have read somewhere, how many devotees have come? This is from the 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. Somewhere in one class you have heard somebody quoting this, or while reading Bhagavatam, or somewhere in some other book also it might be quoted. How many of you have heard this verse? Raise your hands. Or this is the first time you are hearing this verse? Okay, nobody's here. Fine. Okay. So this verse is a little misunderstood. First time. Oh, this verse is misunderstood and sometimes misquoted. You practice bhakti blindly, and here this verse is saying that, you'll never trip or fall. That's not the understanding of this verse. So this verse, what it is saying, firstly, you have to understand that while practicing Raganuga Bhakti, you might be blind to some of the rules and regulations of Vaidhi because you are attracted to that lobe, that greed to achieve that mood. So because you are neglecting some of them, you are blind. While running, you might not see something which is ahead and you just cross over it. You actually are committing offense. Somebody is there lying and you cross over him and you're just running towards. And why are you running? Because you're attracted by greed. That's why you're running ahead. So when you cross over someone, it's an offense. So similarly, if you neglect to follow some of the Vaidhi rules, what will happen? He will not be blundered on this path. Na pramadet karhichit. This is what this verse actually means. He will never trip or fall. So this is the understanding of this verse. Another verse he quotes from the 11th canto again. Nahi angopakrame dhamsa madharma soddhavanyapi maya vyavastita samyan nirgunatvat anashisha. My dear Uddhava, Anga Uddhava, because I have personally established it, maya vyavastita samyak, this process of devotional service unto me, mad dharmasya, is transcendental and free from any material motivation. Nirgunatvad anashisha. Certainly a devotee never suffers even the slightest loss. Nahi anu api dhamsa, by adopting this process. Mad dharmasya pakrami. So when one is on the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, especially he develops some particular taste for some of the angas. It is natural according to his mood. Like he might chant more rounds in the morning, or maybe in the night also, or he might have more taste for reading Bhagavatam. So he might not follow some of the Vaidhi rules fully. So just because he is not following, does it affect him? No. So two verses Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is quoting as a proof for no fault in omitting some procedures. There is no fault because he is attracted by love. So this is the understanding. I hope devotees are clear about it. Any questions, any clarifications about this? Okay. Now types of Raganuga. Now already we have seen there are types of Raganuga Bhakti. But again, there is types of Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, which other types we have seen in Raganuga Bhakti? Anyone? Raise your hands. Which are the types of Raganuga Bhakti? Anyone would like to answer? Raise their hands. Yes, Nitya Sevini Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, there are two types. One is Kamanuga, Raganuga Bhakti. Second one is Sambandhanuga, Raganuga Bhakti.
I think you have made your notes and all, nicely referring and saying, right?
Yes, Prabhu, I made. Then I have revised also, Prabhu. As you said in the group, you had to revise and come today. That's what I revised this one.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, this is nice to know. Okay. Yes, we have studied now. In Siddha Bhakti, there are two types, Kama Rupa Ragatmika, Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika. And there are two types of Ragana. Because there are two types of Ragatmika, there are two types of Raganuga, Sadhana Bhakti. Kamanuga and Sambandhanuga. So now Rupa Goswami is going to speak further types of Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. Elements of practice of Kamanuga Bhakti. Now within Kamanuga. Kamanuga Bhave Trishna, Kamarupanugamini, Sambhogichamai tat tad bhavichatmati sadvida. Now hear this carefully. That Raganuga Bhakti which is filled with longing, Trishna. We have some idea of longing for sense objects, but this is longing for developing that mood of the same mood of the eternal associates. And which follows after the Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti of the Siddha Bhaktas. Kama Rupa Anugamini. You are following the Siddha Bhaktas. It's called Kamanuga Bhakti. Kamanuga Bhave. So here the definition of Kamanuga Bhakti is given here. There are two types, Sadvidha. There are two types in Kamanuga Bhakti. What is that? Sambhog Ichhamai and Tat Tad Bhav Ichhatma. Sambhog Ichhamai Tat Tad Bhava Ichhatma Iti. So let us now see the chart. So now we further see in Siddha Bhakti there is Kama Rupa Raganuga Bhakti and Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. And in Raganuga Bhakti there is Kamanuga Bhakti and Sambandhanuga Bhakti. And within Kamanuga there is Sambhog Ichhamai and Tad Tad Bhava Ichhatma. Okay, let us see what the Acharyas have to say about it. We'll go to the commentary. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. That bhakti which exhibits an eagerness to follow after Kama Rupa Bhakti is called Kamanuga. Because previously the word Kama Rupa in relation to Siddha Bhakti was said to indicate activities inspired by conjugal prema. The word Trishna, thirst, used in relation to the Sadhaka Bhakta should also mean actions inspired by the same type of prema. So he has also that thirst for attaining that same type of prema. Thus, that bhakti which is filled with the activities that follows in the footsteps of the gopis, actions which are inspired by prominent conjugal prema, within them, and which is inspired by a similar and prominent love thirst in the sadhaka, is called Kamanuga Bhakti. There are two types of activities: those in the mind, consisting of thoughts, and services, consisting of actions of the external senses. Now, this Raganuga sadhaka, as I was mentioning, to identify and to understand, his internal mood is very, very difficult. But just to give an example, uh, suppose your spiritual master is coming to your house. You have a lot of love for a spiritual master. So what do you do? In your thoughts, you're always absorbed how I should wonderfully serve my spiritual master. And when your spiritual master comes, all you do, welcoming him, making the bhoga, and then serving him, having discussions, all are filled with actions with that internal love which is there for our spiritual master. So something similar is there, because he wants to attain that prema mood, conjugal prema of the Ragatmika Bhakti, Bhaktas, the eternal associates. So his actions are also inspired by that same kind of thirst in the Kamanuga Bhakti, the sadhaka, Kamanuga, Raganuga, Bhakta. One should not say as follows. Okay, what he should not say? If it is prescribed that the sadhaka must perform activities following after the activities of the young gopis, then why do the pure devotees not perform worship of the sun, which is undertaken by the gopis? So you have to follow the activities of the gopis. And the gopis, used to worship sun gods, especially Srimati Radharani. So I am following in the footsteps of the Ragatmika Bhaktas. Let me also every day go and worship sun god. Is it conducive for a Raganuga sadhaka to do this? Anyone would like to throw some light on it? Is it conducive to follow whatever activities the gopis did? Like the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, used to go along with her friends to worship sun god Surya in the afternoons, right? Is it good for the Raganuga sadhaka? Anugami means to follow, na? The eternal. Is it? It is. What do you think about it? Anyone would like to answer? Anand Prabhuji, you would like to say something? Anyone would like to say something? It's a simple answer as far as I understand. It's very simple. Okay, fine. Okay. If the devotees perform such actions, it will harm the purity of their bhakti. It will harm the purity of their bhakti. The sadhaka also performs action such as worship and Ekadasi vows, which were performed by Rupa Goswami and other great devotees. But the gopis did not perform these. The gopis did not do any Ekadasi. They did not take shelter of any guru. The word Anugamini means following after, not imitating. One should follow after them in the sense of accepting the gopi sentiments, gopi bhav. It does not mean one should do everything they do. Similarly, taking support of Vedanta, if one gives explanation with logic, with one's additional input, it is called following the Vedanta. As previously, the opinions of the recent Saurambhya Sampradaya is again defeated. Now, I hope this example is clear. Na? Anugami means to follow and not to imitate. Where in the Gita Prabhupada speaks about, one should not, one should follow and not imitate. He gives two examples in the Gita, in the 3rd chapter. Anyone knows about it? Anyone knows about it? What happened to everyone today? Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji, I'm not getting. I don't know.
Okay. Have you heard about Yad Yad Acharatri Shrestha, Krishna speaking? We have to follow. Krishna then gives the example in next 2-3 verses. If I don't, set an example in this world, then the whole world will be destroyed. So there then Krishna also what did Ras Leela. So no, Ishwar is very powerful. We have to follow only what is conducive. We cannot imitate Ishwar. And there Prabhupada gives the example of sun. The sun can evaporate and take all the contamination. Shiva can drink what? The entire halahal poison. So one cannot imitate Ishwar. So following, there is difference between following and imitation. Okay. So especially Krishna's activities, especially in Dwarka, are to be followed. Vrindavan, his activities with his dear associates, that's why very difficult for people to easily imitate. So we should be careful about it. Now, what is the Sauramya Sampradaya? Sauramya Sampradaya is another one Apasampradaya which sprang up. Srinivas Acharya had his daughter, very exalted soul, called Hemlata Thakurani. Hemlata Thakurani was an initiating spiritual master. And she had a disciple called Rup Kaviraj. In fact, Rup Kaviraj committed an offense to, I don't recollect the name, Hari Priya Rani something, I don't recollect, Hari Priya something, it's not coming. So she was sitting in the class. Rup Kaviraj was an exalted scholar who was giving a Bhagavatam class, and she was sitting in the class and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, it is an offense. In the Bhagavatam class, you have to attentively hear the Bhagavatam class. In one sense, she was, not attentive to hearing the Bhagavatam class, and that's why Rup Kaviraj, reprimanded her. But on the other hand, Rup Kaviraj could not understand the mood of Haripriya, I don't recollect the name, that she had so much taste for chanting that her tongue was automatically vibrating the holy name. She could not stop herself. So not understanding this mood, he externally saw and reprimanded, and he committed offense. Vaishnava Aparadh, to a great exalted soul. She was very great exalted. That's why sometimes when we see something apparently wrong with our vision, mundane vision, we should carefully evaluate and not just come and try to correct others. This tendency is there in the conditioned soul to correct others, to take the role of a counselor or the master without having the authority. We have to, sometimes, for something to observe, we need to observe for months together, in fact, if you want. Do we really care for him? Do we really want his hita, his real welfare? And that's why in humble mood, we have to do it. So because he committed this offense, slowly he started becoming critical of Vaishnavas, and he committed Vaishnava Aparadh, and he deviated. And then he came up with a concocted philosophy. In fact, it is only those who are sannyasis, they can only initiate. Because he wanted to reject his spiritual master, his spiritual master, that is Hemlata Thakurani. But what does the Siddhanta say? Yai Krishna Tattva, say Guru Hoy. So like that, he came up with so many concocted philosophies. In fact, one need not, do Shravan and Kirtan. One can just do Smaran, remember Krishna, and practice Raganuga Bhakti. Without practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, one can directly practice Raganuga Bhakti. So like that, he came up with many concocted ideas. So this is called as the Sauramya Sampradaya. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Bhagavatam commentaries and various other places, he refutes it, and he in fact, Hemlata Tagurani, when Roop Kaviraj deviated and came up with this philosophy, she took his Kantinimala, broke it and threw him out of the assembly, rejected him as a disciple because of deviating. Such heavy she was. So this that sampradaya is called as the Sauramya Sampradaya, and there are many points. Of course, we'll not go into it, but just 2-3 points I explained what concocted philosophy came up. That only a sannyasi can do, become a spiritual master, and one need not do Shravan and Kirtan. One can just do Smaran of Krishna and practice Raganuga, directly practice Raganuga Bhakti. So this, you can imagine Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's time, that is 1700, that is almost now 300 or more years have happened. And you can imagine this deviation when it has happened there. Till now, the effect is there. Till now, it is there, especially in Vrindavan. I met a boy along with me when I was traveling in a train from Belgaum to Delhi, or Bangalore to Delhi, I remember. And this person had some sadhu who was, taking instructions from him. And he was speaking about only Smaran. And he was hammering on me throughout the train journey. I was just patient, not doing anything. Whatever he spoke, also the philosophy was very convincing, frankly speaking. And he was telling, don't chant. I was sitting and whole day chanting and reading in the train. There is no need to chant. Just remember Krishna. Just remember. Don't do anything else. He was continuously going on like this. And I did not try to preach him. I did not say anything. I just kept quiet. In fact, this philosophy, what he was speaking was really, really deep. You might think that he is a very self-realized soul, you might have thought. And then later on, when we got down, he fell sick. I went and took him to the doctor, treated him, and then he had calmed down. And I don't know, he went on his own. So one has to be very careful. This is quite rampant, especially in Braj. So once you deviate and come up with a Apasiddhanta, especially, it becomes widespread like a disease. And that's why we should be very, very careful about it. And that's why the acharyas are very heavy about it. Okay, now there are 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti. Which are the 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti? Mohan Ruksham Prabhuji. Which are the 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti?
2 terminologies newly, bro.
Okay. I will show you the verse and then you can say, I understand, Prabhuji. Definitely, it is not easy. Okay. Now I am showing you the verse. You can read the verse or the translation and then yes, which are the 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti? Is your audio clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, 1 second. There are 2 types, Sambonge Cha Mai, and then Taddad Bhava Ichama.
Tattad Bhava Ichhatma.
Ichatma.
Okay, good. Okay, so this I have put here, right? It comes in the Kamanuga Bhakti. It is not there in Sambandhanuga. Okay, fine. So now we'll go to that 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti. Okay, is there any question? Anyone has any questions? I hope you're following the discussion. Is there any question? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so let us go to now these 2 types. Okay, these are the 2 types, Sambhog Ichchamayi and Tat Bhav Ichatmayi in Kamanuga. Okay, let us see the verse. Keli Tat Parayatvat Eva Sambhog Ichchamayi Bhavet Tad bhavicchatmika tasam bhavamadhuri kamita. Now, Rupa Goswami in this verse is differentiating between Sambhog Ichchamayi and Tad Bhav Icchatma. Now, hear this very carefully. Try to understand this. Sambhog Ichchamayi Bhakti is characterized, Sambhog Ichchamayi Bhavet, by enjoying conjugally with Krishna. Keli tat parayatvat eva. Tad bhavichatmika bhakti is characterized, tad bhavichatmika, by desiring the sweet mood of love of the Kama Rupa Siddha devotees. Tasam bhava madhuri kamita. Now again, it is difficult to understand what this really means. Let us go to the Acharya's commentaries. Here carefully, try to understand this. Sambhog Ichchai Mai means following those who are Kama Prayas, having a prominence of desire of giving direct conjugal enjoyment to Krishna. Now please remember, this use of the word Kama Praya is different of its use in describing Kubja, who had a predominance of material Kama. So the terms can be used and the context, based on the context, the meaning will change. So here the word Kama Praya means following those Ragatmika Siddha devotees who have a mood of direct giving conjugal enjoyment to Krishna, having that prominence in Sambhog Icchamai. Okay. Tad bhav icchatmika means that type of bhakti whose very life, Atma, is the desire for a particular rati of a cherished woman of Vraj. This should be understood to be the main type of Kamanuga bhakti. This means here it is tad bhav icchatmika. This is illustrated in the Bhagavatam. Now he gives a Praman quote. Striya urgendra bhoga bhujadhand visakta dhiyo vayam apite sama samadrisho angri saroja sudha. The women of Raj, Striya, were attracted. Visakta dhiya. Vishesh rupena asakta dhiya. Visakta dhiya. To the arms of Krishna, resembling the Lord of the Serpents, Urgendra Bhoga Bhujadhanda, and attained the nectar of his lotus feet. Angri Saroja Sudha. We means the Shrutis. This is again from the 10th canto, 87th chapter, personified verse. Also have a similar mood, attaining similar bodies. Sama. Sama means similar. Sama Drisho, attained his feet. Vayam api te sama samadrisho. So this mood of tat bhav icchatmika is the main type of Kamanuga bhakti, and here the Praman is from the personified Vedas who wanted to emulate that same view. Sambhog means conjugal enjoyment. Keli means the same thing. Sambhoga Icchamai has the aim of conjugal enjoyment with Krishna. Keli tat paraya vati. Tat bhava icchatmika bhakti has a desire for the sweetness of the love of the women of Praja. Tasam bhava madhuri kamita. Now, when we go to Vishnu Chakra Thakur commentary, it becomes still more clear. And I will give you some examples to understand this. Sambhog Icchamai means bhakti consisting of two types of activities, mental and physical, inspired by the desire for a direct experience of giving conjugal enjoyment to Krishna independently, like a leader of the group of gopis. Now, anyone can think of any example of a leader of gopis who has this mood of Sambhog Icchamai to give direct conjugal enjoyment to Krishna. Anyone can think about some example? It's a famous example and a well-known example. But still sometimes, it's... Anyone? No. Somebody has typed, it is not right. Oh, okay. Yeah, in one sense, okay. Somebody has typed yes. Yes, Surya Kund Prabhu has typed it. Chandravali. An example of a leader of a group according to scriptures is Chandravali. Tat Tad Bhavichatmika means bhakti, whose inspiration, Atma, is the desire to taste the special bhava in relation to Krishna possessed by a particular woman of Raj whom one holds dear. This should be understood to be superior to the previous type. In this verse, Sambhog means conjugal union. Keli means the same thing. Action whose goal is Keli with Krishna is called Sambhog Ichha Mai Kamanuga Bhakti. That bhakti which has a desire to taste the sweetness of the gopis' love in the relation to Krishna is called Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika. So here between the two, the distinction is done. So in the types of Raganuga, there is Madhurya Bhav. Within Madhurya Bhav, there is Sambhog Ichamai, is characterized by enjoying conjugally with Krishna, directly to give conjugal love. But in Tat Tat Bhava, Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika Bhakti is characterized by desiring the sweet mood of love of the Kamarupa Siddha devotees. Now, I'm just giving here an example to understand this. Now, the Nayak is Krishna and Nayika is Srimati Radharani, lover in the for us. And the gopis, you can see this is the Nauka Vihar Leela, you can say, they directly don't want to experience or give conjugal enjoyment to Krishna, but they want the mood. They want to develop the mood of the here Srimati Radharani, the mood. And they directly don't give direct conjugal enjoyment to Krishna, but they have the mood to follow the mood of the sweet love which is possessed by the women of Raj. So here I'm giving the example of Srimati Radharani. So this Tat Tat Bhava, Ichatmika, is what is called as the difference between the two. Where is it? Yeah, Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika Bhakti. Now this mood is of the Manjaris. There is Radha and Krishna, and then there are the gopis, the Ashtasakis. So the Ashtasakis, sometimes the Ashtasakis also even, Lalita is one group leader, and she also sometimes can give conjugal enjoyment to Krishna. But the Manjaris don't directly, want that to give conjugal love, enjoyment to Krishna. But they want to emulate the mood of any of the group leaders. And here we can take the example of Srimati Radharani. So that bhav, that Manjari bhav, it is called the Manjari bhav. So the acharyas are explaining that that is superior. That is the superior, which Jiva Goswami mentions here. So that, yeah, where is it? Sweetness of the love of the woman of Raj. Tasam bhav madhurim kamita. That bhav, madhuri kam, they have that desire. So this is the difference between Sambhog Ichamai and Tat Tat Bhava Ichatmika. Now, how many were able to really get the point or understand it? Raise your hands. can raise your hands, no problem. One, two. I thought connecting my power cable. Yes, okay. So now I'll give a example, a mundane example. It's not mundane, but it's very interesting example. Just try to understand this example. This is, I was giving one class on Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehina 2.5 in the Bhagavad Gita. And after the class, one student came and told me a very interesting true story. He told me how, I think in his family or someone, the mother was hospitalized. She was sick. She was hospitalized and she was under care of a special doctor because she had severe some disease of the stomach. And for many days, she was in the hospital. Now, she was very fond of fried samosas. And because she was sick, she was diseased, and doctor had told strictly no fried items. So for many days, she was, sick and she had a desire to eat samosas. And the daughter was taking care of the mother. And every day she was pleading to the daughter, Samo, get me samosas. Fry hot samosas and get me. I would like to have. The daughter was strict. No, doctor has strictly told no, no. At last, the mother told, you do one thing. You fry the samosas, get them, come in front of me, sit in front of me, and you have. At least let me see you having the samosas. Now, my question to you all, please hear very carefully. So the daughter came. She followed the order of the mother. The daughter came. She had fried hot samosas. She was having the samosas. And the mother was seeing. Now, who was relishing more the samosas? Raise your hand. Okay. There are, many hands. Okay. Let us type the answer. This time I would like that devotees type the answers. And those who have raised their hand only, keep your hands raised. Those who have raised their hands. And yes, all three have typed correct. Okay. Now it becomes difficult for me to ask whom to. Okay. Let us give a chance to, who had all typed? Let me see. Okay. Yes, Priya Prabhakar Mataji. Let us give a chance. Yes, Priya Prabhakar Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hmm.
I think it's mom, Prabhuji.
Why the mom is not having the samosas? It's the daughter she's having.
But the love of the daughter that she's serving the mom. Maybe the
Love of the daughter serving the mom. No. The daughter is having the samosa. She is relishing the samosa. The daughter. How is the mother getting pleasure? Okay, let us try what inputs you want to give. I'll give another example to understand it, but this is a little, okay, Nitya Sevini Mataji, what is your thoughts about this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, it's a mother.
How is that the mother is relishing more than the daughter?
Because usually mother's heart beats for all her daughters and these things.
No, please don't go into all these explanation. You only stick to the example of the samosa. Now suppose it was not the daughter. Think the example was of some nurse. Some nurse, and the nurse you eat nurse. Okay. So now mother and nurse have no relationship in one sense.
Yes.
So don't. Yes, Pooja Soni Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, at least the daughter, when the daughter is having, she doesn't like to eat samosa, but she is eating
No.
samosa.
She likes,
She
but
likes, okay,
she's
daughter likes to eat samosa, but
no.
mother can see the samosa and smell the samosa.
Please understand. Please understand the question. Please understand the question carefully. It is the mother who has love for samosas. The mother is
Okay.
restricted. The mother who
I
is being.
understood, Prabhuji. I am telling, if suppose the daughter doesn't like to eat the samosa, mother likes to eat the samosa, but daughter is eating. Daughter is not doesn't like to eat samosa, but mother can see that she is eating and she can feel the smell. She can feel the samosa like that.
No. It's not so simple as. Yes, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji, some thoughts from your side.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. No, this is goes with this our Taddat Bhava Ichatmika Bhakti only.
Yes, got the point. Yes.
Yeah, because she cannot do it. She don't want to do it actually directly. So she's just enjoying and relishing that following the other person who is doing that. What is it? The samosa?
That rasa, mundane rasa, the mood of relishing that samosa, what now the daughter is in, at least that mood she has, able to, that bhav, that is what is giving her pleasure. Got the point now? I think everyone got the point. I'll give another example. Which is quite, you can, observe it in our lives. Now, sometimes in a family life setting, I can say that the parents or the father or the head of the family works very hard for the family. He's toiling day and night, running up and down, earning money to maintain the family. Now, when he comes back home, now the mother has cooked very nice food. We'll say prasadam. I don't like to say food. And the children are having. Now, although he's tired, he's hungry, but seeing his own children, having, the food or prasad, he relishes some higher, taste, seeing them. So this is what, if you remember in our initial preface, Prabhupada spoke about rasa. He spoke about rasa, if you know, that which drives a philanthropist to do philanthropic work, that which drives a family man, driven by affection, a family man works day and night, driven by love for the country, a nationalist strives. He gives up family relationship so that is what is called as rasa. So he is seeing his own children nicely taking food, being nourished by food. He himself needs nourishment because he's tired all day, he's worked and he's just come back home. But seeing that, the mood, that bhav, that tat bhav ichatmika, I'm just giving you an example of this world because to understand this, what it is, the spiritual world, we have to be very, very pure, So this is what exactly some idea I'm giving you of what is tat bhav ichatmika. Okay. Now, this daughter is part of
this example also, Prabhuji. Like when we see our what is it, our members or children's practicing Krishna consciousness. Can we say this example also?
See, it depends on many finer aspects. It depends on many finer aspects. You might feel that, oh, this is my son, and that can give you a different kind of affection for the son, the affection for the son. And it can be, if he's, it depends on a lot of, a mood is there, which we need to understand. So I'm not able to exactly get into the intricacies of it, but it depends on that particular mood. What is, it is based on that affection of the family connection, or it is more because of, sometimes the example is of Raghunandan. Mukund was his father, and, Raghunandan, Mukund had gone somewhere to the city or somewhere to the market, and he told Raghunandan to offer. And Raghunandan was so pure-hearted that, eat Krishna, he said. Krishna did not, Krishna had accepted, but, he thought that eat means he should eat. So why are not eating? He started crying, and Krishna had to, he was very moved by the pure sincerity of Raghunandan, and he actually physically ate it, and he ate the laddu fully. And then later on, when Mukunda asked, where is the prasad? He said, Krishna ate. What does it mean, Krishna ate? But he gives the prasad. Where's the prasad? So, no, Krishna ate. So Mukunda wanted to see. So Mukunda told him, make this offering. And then again, Krishna eat. So Krishna literally took his hand. And then he ate. Wow, then Mukunda understood, oh, he's not my son. He's my spiritual master. That's why when Mukunda went to Jagannath Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, so I have a doubt. Is Raghunandan your son and you are the father, or is it that Raghunandan is the father, you are a son? So what did Mukund say? Oh, no, I am not his father. Actually, he is my father, I am son, because he is elevated in devotion. So although he had that family connection, but he was seeing from a different mood. So this is there. And do you know about Alwarnath or Alarnath, which is there in Jagannath Puri, 12 kilometers from Jagannath Puri? There is a famous deity of, Chaturbhuj Narayan. Actually, this Chaturbhuj Narayan is the form which Krishna showed to the gopis in Govardhan. That place is called as Pait. During the pastime of the Ras Leela, suddenly Krishna slipped and went away, and then he was hiding, and then he showed the Chaturbhuj form. All the gopis said, oh, obeisances to you, Narayan, can you tell us where is Krishna? And Narayan, with one of his hands pointed that direction, so they ran away that side. That is the ecstatic love of the gopis. So, but when Srimati Radharani came, Krishna could not maintain his Chaturbhuja. He came back to Dvibhuja. So actually, that form is there in Alarnath. So the Alwars from South India, they were worshipping, and similar incident happened. That the pujari was going out, he sent his son, I don't recollect his name, Revati or something, I don't recollect really, frankly speaking. I'll have to look back. So he told, please offer. And because of his pure devotion, the deity had the kheer. And then when the father came back home, he asked the wife, feed me prasad. He said, no, the son did not go. He went inside the altar and he got the plate empty. No prasad today. What? How is it possible? He had a doubt that Krishna actually eats or. So he told his mother to make a kheer, his wife to make kheer. Hot kheer was made. And this boy again went to offer. That time the father hid backside. And when he offered, actually Narayan went to pick the kheer, and the father came and caught hold of Narayan. That if you eat, then what is going to happen to us? So he did not have faith. In fact, that kheer mark is there. Even on today also, you can see on the right hand, the kheer is there. Mark is there. So then the Lord was very upset. And in fact, there was devastation in that place because of committing this kind of an offense to the deity. So for many years, all these Brahmanas were not there in that area. Only that pure devotee sustained. So there, the mood, if you see, of the father was, he was not, happy that his son is such an exalted soul that he can directly feed the Lord. So it depends on the mood. I hope it is clear, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, yes.
Fine. So just some idea I gave you of what is Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika. Okay. So now 6:70. Bhakti. Okay. There are only 4-5 slides which I want to finish. And then another one class tomorrow, we will finish Raganuga Bhakti discussion. There are only 4-5 slides. We started a little late, so I'll just go 5-10 minutes more. Okay. Qualification for Kamanuga Bhakti. Just like there is qualification for Raganuga Bhakti, now within this Kamanuga, Raganuga Bhakti, Sadhaka Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, there is this 2 types, Sambhog Ichchamayi and Tat Tat Bhav Ichchatmika. So there is qualification for Kamanuga Bhakti now. Okay, what is the qualification? Rupa Goswami speaks this verse. Shri Murter Madurim Preksha Tattallilam Nishamyava Tadbhavakanshino Yesus Eshu Sadakatanayo Puraneshu Yate Padme Pumsa Api Bhavetiyam. Those who develop longing for the bhava of the gopis, tad bhava akankshino ye. After seeing the sweetness and the deity of Krishna and the gopis, Sri Murter Madhurim Preksha, after seeing that sweet mood, and after hearing about his pastimes with the gopis, tat tal leelam nishamyava, are qualified for sadhana of either of these types of Kamanuga Bhakti. Tesham sadhana tayo. Tayo means, dvivachan. So there are 2 types of Kamanuga Bhakti, Sambhog Ichchamayi and Tat Tat Bhavya. Both. In the Padma Puran, it is said, Padme Purana Shruyate, that even men can attain this Bhakti. Pumsam api yam bhavet. Devotees should see the particular sweetness of pastimes through the deity forms of Krishna and his consorts, gopis, or hear about the sweetness of their love and pastimes. So it is always, more we go to the dhams, especially Vrindavan, Radha Shyam Sundar and Mayapur, the Kartik, Radha Madhav, attending as part of Vaidhi Sadhana every day, Mangalarti, having darshan of the deities, and then hearing the pastimes, especially during the Kartik month, we should hear more the pastimes of the 10th canto. Previously on hearing and remembering and after hearing was mentioned. The intention is to show that in the act of seeing, the assistance of hearing is also necessary. So we see through the ears. That is why one of the names of Krishna is Shruta Ikshita. Shruta Ikshita means, Iksha means to see, Shruta means to hear. So we see through hearing, Shravana. Without hearing, there will be no manifestation of the basic forms and pastimes. Hearing about Krishna and the gopis, even without seeing, is also effective. Now, where is the example in the Bhagavatam? Just hearing about Krishna, one of the devotees developed deep attraction for Krishna without seeing him also, just by hearing. Yes, Sunita Mataji?
Rukmini.
Yes, Rukmini is an example, classic example. But again, here we are discussing about Kamanuga, Raganuga Bhakti and Ragatmika, Kamarupa Ragatmika Bhakti. That doesn't fit, but Rukmini is an example of how just by hearing without seeing. So that only to substantiate this point, I'm stating that example. Okay. These persons develop longing for the bhav of the gopis and thus become qualified sadhana for these 2 types of sadhana and yoga. Even males can aspire for the mood of the gopis. So that was already mentioned, but in the next verse, he emphatically quotes Yatha. He quotes Pura Maharsha Sarve Dandakaranyavasina Drushva Ramam Harim Tatra Bhoktum Aichin Suvigraham Te Sarvam Stritvam Apanna Sambutascha Gokule Harim Samprapya Kamena Tato Mukta Vavarnavat. previously, Pura, all the sages living in Dandakaranya forest, Sarve Dandakaranya Vasi Maharashaya. They were great, great rishis who, after seeing Lord Ram, Drushtva Ramam Harim Tatra, desiring enjoyment with his form, Bhoktum Aichim Suvigram. Now, this enjoyment, please don't take it in any mundane sense. It is very, very pure. We know that calm means what? Now we have some understanding. Calm is very pure. And these rishis have done great tapasya, control their mind and senses. So it's not any material enjoyment. It's pure, pure desire. Attained forms of women. Te sarva stritvam apanna, and appeared in Gokul. Sambhutascha Gokule. Attaining the Lord in that calm. Harim samprapya kamena. So here calm again is pure calm. As Kamarupa Ragatmika Bhakti or Kamanuga. They became liberated from the ocean of material. Tato Mukta Bhava Arnavat. Arnavat means, the ocean. And Bhava means, Bhavasagar. The sages refer to all those sages who had desires following the gopis of Krishna in Gokul. Seeing Ram, they desired to enjoy with him when he would appear in the future in the beautiful form of Krishna. In fact, it is mentioned that Lord Ram, when he was passing through the Gandhandakaryan forest, he knew the desires of these rishis who were meditating. And when Lord Ram came before them, they were seeing what? They were seeing him as Krishna. And they wanted to attain Krishna only. But now Lord Ram was playing the Leela of Maryada Purushottam. And he had taken a vow of Ekapatni, brother. And Ram could understand that their mood is of that of Madhurya, and especially of the Vraj. So then he secretly blessed them that when in the next Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, I'll come in my original form. That time I'll fulfill your desire. So the one Lord appears in different forms, just like the Vaiduramani, when you turn it different colors, it will display. So similarly, that one Lord appears in different forms to accommodate different moods of worship. So their mood was of more of Madhurya, and that's why thus they asked for his boon in their minds. So whatever I said is here. Krishna's future appearance was well known to the learned from the scriptures. The scriptures were there that time also, and Krishna's pastimes are mentioned in the scriptures. So they knew about Krishna. After obtaining a silent boon from Ram, who acts as a desiratory, Kalpavriksha, they attained bodies of women in the wombs of the gopis in different regions. Then they were then born from these gopis, who then moved to Nanda Gokul, famous everywhere as Gokul. Due to their calm alone, they attained the Lord in the form of attractive Krishna and later attained liberation from the material ocean. These gopis, now the Dandakaranya rishis were Sadhana Siddhas. Sadhana Siddha means by performing sadhana, they have attained Siddhi. They have attained perfection. So they become purified. They attain even a level of prema also. But they go and take birth in whichever universe Krishna is doing his pastimes. And there they are born in the gopis' wombs, either as male or female. If it is female, it can be also Vatsalaras, because or as gopis in Madhuraras, or if they are males, it can be the elderly Gopas or the friends of Krishna. So their further fine training is given by the Nitya Siddhas, who come along with Krishna, and then from there they go back to the spiritual world. So here, to emphasize that, he gives a praman, Antargraha Gata Kashchit, Gopya Labda Vinirgama, Krishnam Tad Bhavana Yukta, Tadyur Bilita Lochana. Some of the gopis, however, Kashchit Gopya, could not manage to get out of their houses. Alabda Vinirgama. And instead they remained at home. Antara graha gata, with eyes closed, milita lochana, meditating upon him. Krishna tadhyu, in pure love. Tad bhavana yukta. These gopis, meditating in separation, became completely purified and attained full spiritual bodies. With these bodies, they attained Krishna's association with the Raslila. So what happens is, even Vishwanath Chakra Thakur explains in his purports that especially on the Vamsivat, when Krishna played his flute, all the gopis, in the midst of all their activities, some were serving, feeding their children, some were feeding their husbands, some were taking care of their mother-in-law, father-in-law, some were doing cooking. Everyone left and immediately rushed towards the Vamsivat. But some of the gopis who wanted to go, they were stopped by their elders or their husband. And because they were not allowed to go, they stayed back. Now, those who stayed back, these are the Sadhana Siddhis gopis. Please understand. That is the sages of Naimisharanya, sages of Dandakaranya Rishi or the Shutichari gopis. And when they stayed back, they were feeling deep separation from Krishna because they wanted to go there. So they sat in meditation, and the little bit contamination, kalmasha was there. They got purified from that, and they stayed there in their houses, but in the spiritual bodies, now they went and joined the Raslila Krishna. So it's a very, 0.0001%, whatever it is, that purification level, purification also happens in Krishna's Leela pastimes, especially with the those who have attended Sadhana Siddha and they have come to participate in Krishna's pastimes. Okay, now this is a new topic which we will discuss in the next class tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last class on Raganuga Bhakti. We have only 30 slides to go through, and I think we'll easily be able to go through. There's nothing much to be discussed. We have finished the major portion. Any questions, any clarification anyone has? Okay. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai.